Good Sunday morning. So my usual old man nap ran way over. So I am now awake and it is midnight. So maybe there's some West Coast beekeepers out there or even Central Time that are still awake. So if you can see, I got a new metal sign behind me, courtesy of my my daughter for Christmas. It just arrived today, but I'm going to do something so it stands out better. I'll move it down. It's just kind of up there kind of right now. So, hey, if you haven't seen it yet, there is a No Life Beekeepers Facebook group. So if you want to join said group, it is No-Life Beekeepers, right? Yep. Let me see if there's a way to get the link. And I don't know, can I do a share? Let's see, share, copy link, and I'll drop that in the StreamYard if you want to join. I did not make the group. It was community driven. Oh, hey, I woke somebody up out in California. Hey, Todd.
What's up, Bob?
I was watching your video, and I was like, you know what? That joker's probably still awake.
Yeah.
So we'll see if we can get him.
It's only 9:15.
Yeah, for you, it's like 12:15 here.
Well,
so I got my new desk set up. It actually works better than my messy room, but hey, the whole thing is a mouse pad.
Oh, that's nice.
So, well, hey, truck driving, but I haven't been truck driving. I have not been truck driving, but I'm not at Lee status, guys. But you
you get there.
No, this is it. I am there. I have arrived where I'm gonna be. That's it.
Like 12 more monitors and
12 more monitors and just wall it all the way off to the ceiling and do it that way. So I think we're going to have James McNally coming in a minute.
Oh, nice.
And we were talking some well, James is like my grounding rod, right? When I have a bad like conundrum of, hey, I'm just not sure which direction I want to go, James is not the guy that's going to push me in a direction one way or another. He's the guy that says, look, well, let's do this. And then let's try to make a good assessment on what we're going to do, right? So he's my grounding rod from that. So maybe when he jumps in here in a minute, because he's over there left coasting it too, right? So we can talk about that.
He's around here?
Well, I mean, he's not in California, but he's on the west coast or west side of Canada, right? So he's still in a similar time zone, maybe 2 hours behind Mountain Time, I think. But you know, it's one of those things, like watching your video today, where you're walking around your apiary. What are you seeing? I mean, because I'm seeing some concerning things in my yard from the outside, like you did, like the outside assessment when you're going around, right? Like today, I was leaving to go get this desk, and one colony looked very much like they were trying to rob it out, right?
Mhm.
From the back, like they were trying to get in the back around the top.
Mhm.
And then fast forward to when I'm coming back. Well, now it looks like they found the entrance, you know? So I'm thinking that colony's gone, right? So
Yeah. Probably queenless already.
look at this. He's in the office. He's ready to
Oh,
number crunch
Evening,
business management.
evening, guys. I was number crunching. Actually, well, believe it or not, I do a few things here. I got to turn the volume up a little bit.
No, we don't
I
think you do anything out there. You're never
well, I was gonna
busy.
say,
Never do it.
I do a few things besides beekeeping. So I was just
Like
playing a little bit
what?
of blues here.
oh,
Playing the blues. I was singing the blues to you this morning. And you know, James is the guy that's like, quit your damn crying and dry it up, young buck, and let's go. You know, and I appreciate that fact, and that's one thing about this community. And I lean on James because we talk frankly to each other about things, and he's the cup half full guy, and I'm sometimes the cup half empty guy, right? So I'm sitting there like, well, you know, I was hoping for this, and when I thought this was going to be better, and you know, and James is like, well, let's step back, slow your roll there, jabroni, and let's figure out what actually happened for you this year. So then we started counting boxes, right? He's like, well, count your boxes. So I go in the honey house and I start counting my boxes of frames, you know, and he's slowly grabbing the back of my shirt and reeling me in off the ledge, you know. And I'm like, man, I just don't know. I need this to do something, right? And he's like, well, let's see what you actually did. Yeah, maybe you didn't put that much honey in the jar that you were expecting, but let's see what you actually did do, right? So I'm going to let him chime in on what he was thinking.
Well, we talked about quite a bit there. So
well, I mean, as far as that in particular, about the honey that I probably did actually produce and how it was utilized within the colony, not just in my bottles.
So how about I relate it maybe to something that I've been doing up here as well. So you know, I've been increasing my colonies, and you know, of course, as I increase the colonies, you have to increase your woodware, which means you're increasing frames, you're increasing bee counts and all of this. But one of the things that I was trying to explain to Bob that most beekeepers, when they're growing or starting out, forget is, you know, all of the capital assets, if you will, that you've got in there. So I'm going to explain that one a little bit. So what some of the people forget is if you put a deep super on there. So that deep super, you know, might be say $20. You know, you're going to throw 10 frames in there, so they're going to be $2 a piece. There's $20. You're going to have 10 pieces of foundation in there. There's $20. So you got about $60 to a box. But that's something that everybody can see because you literally dish that money out. But what people don't see is the rest of the capital that's in there. So everybody forgets about the wax. So, and we all know it's about a 7-to-1 ratio. So, you know, if that's all brand spanking new comb in there, you know, those bees are bringing a lot of honey in to generate that wax to build that comb. You know, and people forget about the cappings on those combs and stuff like that as well. So, you know, part of the things I was trying to tell Bob is, well, I think we said, what, 650 pounds?
650 is what I actually put in the bottle.
So 650 pounds into his bottle. So, you know, like Bob was saying, he says, you know, I've gone from 17 to, you know, 32 or 34 or whatever the heck number it was there, you know, but my honey didn't increase by that much. And I'm saying, well, hold it here. You know, your bees actually did do that work because they built all that wax. You got all that comb. And when you start adding it up, and one of the things I suggested he do is, you know, to figure that out, if you wanted to put a number to it, take a brand new box with brand new frames and brand new foundation and weigh that. And then weigh one that has all the built comb in it. And then take that number and multiply that by roughly 7. And that's going to be how many more pounds of honey those bees brought in to build that wax.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So when I was trying to explain that to Bob, and you totaled up, that's why he was out counting the boxes. So when he starts counting all these boxes and counts everything up, I think we figured you were closer to what, 12 or 1,500 pounds or something like that?
Yeah, like 15, I think is what we came up, close to 1,500.
So when you stop and think about that, then what we did is we worked it back. I mean, we talked about lots of things, but then we worked it back and, you know, and says, well, geez, what was your average per hive? And I think we figured out your average per hive was 50.
Like 52, 56, something like that.
Yeah, it was in the 50s, you know, per box. When you stop and think that those were first year bees, that's pretty damn good.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Right? So, and that's where I was trying to explain to Bob. So sometimes you have to take a look what you got other than just what's in that honey bottle.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, look, we got someone from Denmark here. Thanks for stopping in. Appreciate you, Jared.
Excellent. Happy New Year. So those are some of the things that, you know, Bob and I were busy discussing it. I'm just going to bring my phone up because on my iPad here, I can't see the comments or anything as they come in. So at least if I put my phone up there, then I can see the comments that are coming in. So, but yeah, so, you know, long story short, I think Bob did way better than what he thought he did. Well, when he starts taking a look at what he's got there for, you know, for equipment now and what's been built up in that. So, and of course, and that's one of the things that I've been fighting. And that's where I was kind of relating it to me is, you know, as I grow from tens of hives to hundreds of hives, yes, my honey is increasing, but it's kind of increasing on a nice gradual slope. And it's going to do that until I have, you know, all of those combs and stuff built. And then if everything goes good, the honey crop should start to climb, you know, proportionally once those combs and everything like that is drawn. So that's my theory anyways.
Well, it's so some of the things, my concerns were, and I'm only being transparent of where my mind was this morning. And a lot of people may be thinking similarly is why I'm sharing this, right? Is so coming into spring last year, I had 17 colonies, right? And so I've 100% gained on my colonies, right? I've doubled up. Maybe not quite that, maybe 80%, right? So now I'm at like 30, 32 colonies in that area. However, now, like James was saying, I'm not having to build comb, and 100% of those queens are now going to be their first full year coming in, right?
This will be their first spring.
Their first spring, yep. So if, you know, we don't know what's going to happen next week, you know, or next month in beekeeping, we don't know, right? We hope for the best and usually deal with the worst, and somewhere in between there's this ground. So it's about figuring out, well, what's my goals for this year, right? Well,
it was fun. It was funny because I think I must have asked Bob that question about 25 or 30 times.
Yep.
What is your goal? What do you want to have for a goal at the end?
And where I struggle with that, because every time I put a goal, it's like I never can stay to that goal because some curveball out of right field comes in and you have to modify that as you go, right? So
we kept you to your goal last year. Your goal last year was to build your apiary.
Yep. So, right. I mean, in fact, we did that, right? So,
and your secondary goal was, as you said, you wanted more honey this year in 2023 than what you had in 2022.
Actually, this is how it went. if you want to know the cold hard truth of it, I keep receipts on stuff sometimes, right? So basically, the discussion boiled down to, look, what's your goal? Are we growing your apiary or are we growing honey? If we're growing your apiary, I don't want to hear how much honey you get. That was the discussion.
I did say that, absolutely.
And so because in growing the apiary, you're sacrificing that honey, right? So if we bring the whole conversation full circle, in not worrying about how much honey I was making, I actually did make more honey than the year previous. So that was actually still a
Bob's likes cheese.
I'm making random observation. I do like cheese, so you're on. Like a lot, bricks of cheese, string cheese, cottage cheese, Cheetos, cheese paws, cheese, or pizza with no, not pizza with just cheese, no sauce, no, can't do that. But cheese, most people, I think you could say that about anybody. Most people eat cheese. So, and I eat a little crow every now and again. Keep it on the stream. But the thing is that once we go ahead and figure out what that goal is, then the secondary goals seem to, if you do the first goal right, the secondary goals fall into place. So every year I get to this point and I struggle with that goal because I'm not a very good goal setter, right? So, I mean, doing a full 2023 review, I asked James point blank, I said, James, you were on the outside looking at the progress, and how would you rate my year's success or a failure? And he said, well, I think you exceeded what you did. This is the half empty side, right?
I absolutely, and I didn't even have to think about it. I think you far exceeded what your goal was, right? And the reason I say I think you far exceeded what your goal was, because your goal was to grow the apiary. And, one of the discussions we had is, okay, well, we'll grow your apiary. And he says, but I want more honey. I says, look, I did say exactly that. Don't worry about one or the other, because if you grow your apiary, your honey will automatically come. So that was your goal. Where I say you exceeded your goal, and this is where we started talking about it earlier, was all of the knowledge that you acquired in 2023. So you're taking on, well, you're kind of taking a playbook out of my playbook, I guess. So, I mean, as anybody on the live stream knows, I usually am a little bit outside of the traditional beekeeping ways, if you will. I'm a firm believer that if you never try, you'll never know. So, we convinced Bob to graft queens. So he's got the knowledge. He knows how to graft queens and grow his own queens. And in fact, we discussed some of that too, because I think most of the queens in your apiary, like cutting the cheese, there you go. I think most of the queens in the apiary are your own queens, correct?
Yeah, like 99% of them. I think there's one left that I got from Steve in New York.
There you go.
But everything else is new grafted queens. So
right. So you're and if we go back to the beginning of 2023, in some of the conversations Bob and I had, is I don't know how many times I kind of told him the same thing, is go back to the basics. It makes no difference whether I'm a beekeeper in northern Alberta or he's a beekeeper in Carolina, or Todd yourself over there in California. The life cycle of the bee is the life cycle of the bee. Mm-hmm. What you have to understand is what they need when they need it, and work with them inside of that life cycle, and then from there you'll grow and flourish. And that's where I say you far exceeded it, because you were in a little bit of a spiral dive there at the beginning of 2023. We leveled you out, we filled your tanks, and I'm a pilot, can you tell? And we lit the fires, and away you went. So from that, a little bit of check and adjust, and and look at you go. I mean, you're doubled, and I really think you're set up for great success here in 2024.
Well, there's a lot of things that I'm doing differently. Is that the unicorn? I saw you look at the unicorn.
Yeah. Well, the unicorn suits here, but I'm up in the office, so my wife's got our cat up against in between the office and our bedroom. We got a set of French doors, so they're stuck on the other side of the French doors for some reason. They don't want to come in. They've I'm just starting to learn how to play the guitar and stuff, so this is kind of my safe zone. When I'm up here with my guitar, they leave me alone.
And so, like, doing things differently now from what most people do around here, right? Like pollen patty in December. Well, why are you putting pollen patty on in December? I've seen that so many times on YouTube, right? Well, it's because in January and February, we take right off, right? So I'm trying to get that little head start to get them filling those boxes now.
I think that's going to pay dividends for you. I really do. You know, you and I kind of discussed that a little bit too. When well, should I do this or shouldn't I? Should I? You know, and I never tell Bob this is what you should do. You know, but I do say, well, you know what? If that was me and I was in that scenario, this is what I think I would probably do, and then leave it up to him. So some of those things that I've suggested to him, I think he's hung up the phone and he says, McNally's lost his marbles again. There's no way in hell where I'm doing that.
Well,
Or to be like, maybe he's onto something there.
Well, it's kind of crazy because last year when I approached James, you got to remember the time, right? So it's like January and he's like -40, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, I don't know, man. You know, I don't know what happens when down there. And so he's just like, well, when does this happen? Okay, so we go back 3 weeks, and then we go back 3 weeks.
That's all. Those are all negative in degrees Celsius. Winter has come to Alberta. Finally.
And our flow, gosh, it's so hard to predict down here because it really depends how mild the winter is, right? This is kind of our winter time now. Now, in January, we'll get, and when I say we'll get cold, it's not cold like you guys are used to, right? If it hits freezing, it's hitting freezing for a few hours, not a few days, right?
Or weeks.
Yeah, or months. It's just a little bit of time. So even today, it rained all last night, and it was cold, and it still got to 57, I think, today. Fahrenheit. So the bees are out hitting my pollen tube and robbing each other out and the things they do, you know, and so I can see how James looking back would be like, man, I don't know. But when you break it back, you know, I made the comment on last night's stream that I'm starting to do things that Canadian beekeepers are doing and applying it down here. And there was a bunch of chuckles and laughs, right? That, you know, basically in my mind, the first thing I thought was they don't think it's going to work. Right. I mean, I'm not bringing them in the barn, but when you break it back down to, well, when does the flow start? When do people traditionally make splits there? And you start working backwards from that day. You know, that was the thing I was telling James last year. I said, hey, people start splitting in February, and I look in my boxes and they look like shit. You know, I can't do that, and I'm doing something wrong. So when we started working backwards, that's why I started feeding pollen patties in December, putting liquid feed on. I fed more this winter than I've ever fed in my life. 250 gallons of 2-to-1 syrup on the colonies, a whole tote.
Yeah, but you got 30. So you got 30 colonies though.
Yeah, but I've never done that before. Right?
I was gonna say that's still. I was just trying to work that out here.
Are there bees around you? Other bees?
Yeah, probably swarms I've lost in the past.
They're in the trees across the street.
Populating everybody's. It makes me cringe when people say, "Hey, I've got bees in my trailer," and they're like 2 miles down the street, right? And I'm like, okay, let me. And if I go in there and I see a marked queen, that'll be the cue, right?
So
Okay.
that's about 7 gallons of hive. So
That's an awful lot to me.
Well, that is, but his bees fly.
Well,
right?
that's true. That's very true. I forgot about
and
that.
this is part of going back to the life cycle of the bee, right? So because his bees are flying and there's no nectar there, right? They're going to burn through that, that energy. They're going to need that sugar water. So I was just trying to think of what we put on ours up here. So ours up here, probably 5 to 6 gallons, I would think, probably per hive. I'll be honest with you, I've never really tracked it, but I think it would be somewhere around there.
But now, with that being said, your bees stop brooding or slow way down, which gives them more space in the colony to store that as well.
Well, it's interesting you said that because I was out there today, and as you know, I lost some colonies due to some visitors I had out there. I pulled some of the frames, and some of those frames have got brood on both sides. So I have brood in my bee barn.
Now, if you want to look at the James McNally side of the cup's half full, had that guy not broke into his place, he would not have checked his bees. He would not have known what he actually had in there at this time of the year.
Well, exactly. I would not have had a clue. Now, I was expecting to find, a small fastball size of brood or something like that. I mean, I'm a firm believer. I think that kind of happens, all the time. But I wasn't expecting to find, half sheets of brood in there. Wow. So I have to figure out what's going on there. Now, I did make the comment last year. I went back and took a look at some of my videos from this the spring of 2023. And I did make the comment, I thought my bees came out of the bee barn stronger than they went in. So if they brewed last year in there, like they're doing this year, that would explain as to why they were stronger. But they don't have the resources. There's not there's some pollen on some of the frames and things like that. But there's not the strong resources to build that brood in there. So, it's a little bit of a conundrum. So I don't know. So I have heard, and that's part of the reason I went and looked there today, but I have heard that due to the warm weather, some of the guys outside here have got sheets of brood in their hives, but my bees aren't in the warm weather. They're in a regulated barn, somewhere's between. The weather's been up and down and playing hell a little bit there with me. But anyway, so I was going to say probably between 0 and +6, degrees Celsius. Yeah. So that shouldn't be, and in the dark, with only the nectar and the pollen they have in the hive. So I actually meant to phone Lloyd today and pick his brain a little bit on that one to see what he had thought, but I ended up getting busy.
With Bob's hour-long conversation on the phone.
No, actually, part of it was it was cold, colder here this morning, and the fireplace was pretty nice and warm, and my wife just washed my favorite wool blanket, so I was snuggled under my wool blanket with a nice cup of coffee and the Baileys in front of the fireplace there for probably about 2 hours this morning.
Nice.
Well, it's every year I think I get to this time of the year and it's like, oh gosh, I'm a month and a half away, right? And what are we going to do? How are we going to do this? I mean, I was throwing ideas. Hey, do I just go buy a bunch of packages and load up all these boxes? And James's response was, well, how much can you get them for? Well, if you, whatever it is, it doesn't even matter what the number is, right? It's like, well, if you get them, just keep in mind that whatever they make, you got to subtract that money out of it. So you're much better to go ahead and just make your own splits and make your own queens from your own stock, and you're already, if you get 10 of them, you're already $800 bucks or $1,000 ahead of the game.
Ahead of the game, yeah. Well, a friend of ours, go back and watch his videos, right? Buy your equipment and build your bees. So,
well, I've got right now, other than frames, which always seem to be my issue, frames. I think I'm pretty set right now on boxes and stuff. So it's just a matter of filling those boxes. And just because you have 30 colonies doesn't mean you can take a split off of every one of them, So
I think that's one of the things that you should try to work on early in the year, Bob, is balancing your hives. So pulling those brand new bees or those sheets of brood out of a strong colony, and giving it to a weaker colony, and build those up, equalize those out, but keep track of it. So it's important to keep track of the weak hives and what you're putting into those weak hives, because if that hive is weak, is it due to food or an outside influence, or is it due to the queen? So if you build that equalize that hive, and you build that hive back up, and you go back out there, say a month later, and that hive is weak again, you need to flag that hive, and maybe you need to get rid of that queen. Now that's assuming, you got your mite problem under control and your beetles under control, and like I said, assuming there's no outside influence as to what's causing that. So.
Right. So Todd,
So,
how are you? we kind of dominated this.
No. Great topic. Great information. No, I'm completely relieved. Looking at my hives today, they were pretty much tucked in. Not like last week and the week before. So I'm like,
how are they doing? Have you actually been in the hives or just outside? So you don't know what kind of resources they're dealing with in the hive.
This time of year, I'll crack a lid, but I won't dig into frames. But I won't crack the lid on every box, just ones that I need to look at. Like what you were saying, if the bees look like they're robbing, and it's pretty easy to tell. But if you crack that lid and you have a ton of bees flying out and away from you, yeah, those are robber bees. They're taking off. So it's an easy tell. But other than that, I'll look under a lid if I need to. Otherwise, I'll just look at the entrance and go from there. So I have condensation going out of in different degrees out of every single entrance. So I know they're all alive. So do I need to check? No, not really. Everything looks normal right now, so we'll see. But February is the worst month for me. That's when starve outs happen, and they happen fast. I mean, I had a solid box of bees last year.
Evening, Ian.
Hey, Ian. I had a huge colony last year that had tons of food on them, and they starved out in 3 days. So I don't know what happened there. Maybe I missed something, but it happened quick. And the only reason I knew they starved out is because I looked at the hive. There was no condensation coming out the front door. I stuck a stick in there and kind of made a racket. Didn't get any attention. So I cracked the lid open, and they were all in a pile.
So it's amazing how quickly that gets your attention in there, right?
Oh, yeah.
Last night when we were out in the bee bar, and Alan was using the hive tool and just kind of reaching with the hive tool and, seeing if there's any dead bees that he could scrape out of the bottom. They started just pouring out over the side. It's like, leave them alone.
That's the easiest way to find out if they're, still kicking in there.
Just leave them alone in there.
Around. Yeah.
Well, so I didn't really tell anybody on the stream, but I told James, and I think Todd might know, but I've kind of, I went 100% in with the Appy tablet. So And in saying that, early last year, I put Apivar strips in, and then I hit them with OA, and then that was it till the fall. Well, then we found the Appy tablets, right? So I put Appy tablets on every one of my colonies, and it could be epic failure or it could be sustainable. I don't know. This is what we're going to find out, because I have done 0 OA in the winter, just the Appy tablets. So we'll find out here shortly if the mite issue is under control or not under control, you know. So which either way, I'll be treating in the spring with Appy tablets. I got a ton of them. So we're gonna give it we're gonna give it the real shot, right? And the only way I can know if it's the Appy tablet that's working or the OA is eliminating one of them, right? So since I already had Appy tablets on, I was like, I'm just not going to OA it. So we might be having 17 next month again.
I was going to ask you the same question Ian just asked you. Did you keep 1 or 2 without the Appy tablet for a control so you could see if there was a difference?
Yeah, I've got a couple of them out there that that I went and checked that had no tablet on them. And believe it or not, still had, for some reason, they had Apivar strips still hanging in there. So I pulled those out, right? So
hey, your labor guy, you're paying hourly wage. It's not doing a good job.
Well, yeah, the problem is I have an hourly wage I have to go to, and I think sometimes it doesn't always work in my favor for that, you know. But yeah, so there's definitely I know I've had good results so far, right, with the tablet, and you know, we'll see. We will see together, and you know, gamble my bees on it. So
full disclosure on my end, I went all in too.
So
except for 5 hives. So and then there's 5 more out there that are VSH that I left alone, and they got nothing for obvious reasons. But so I'm trying it too, and there are some that have a little bit of the tablet left. There's a couple that have a lot of the tablets left, and there's a lot that don't have anything left. There's even some that have stored it. So we'll see what happens. But I put those on in what? October, early October. I did washes the first week of November, and I was satisfied with what I saw. Not saying that that's the cause of it, because as we all know, this is a supplement and is for the health of the hive. But something's I don't know.
Well, I've been getting a lot of text messages from people saying, "Hey, this is what I've seen," and one guy said that with the Appy tablet, and he treated with oxalic acid one time, he went through and shook his colonies and got 0 counts on all of his colonies. So is it because he hit it with OA? Don't know. But the combination
now
has him at 0.
And what I did midsummer was I did, as you know, Bob, I did OA strips. And so those were on for 65 days, I think.
And you had done some Apigard.
No. Oh yeah, Apigard too. Yeah. So, you know, I'm kind of mixing and matching, but I do not plan on doing an OA vaporization this winter. And even if, you know, I couldn't do it earlier, but now I can. But I'm not going to. I'm going to see what happens. And you know what? If I lose it all, if it just flies off the edge of the cliff, I've got some hives I'll build back. I'm not worried. You know, I'm not going anywhere. and I have a ton of frames. I have a ton of comb. You know, I've got a lot that I can expand on next spring. And what I'm looking forward to is doing the Apis biologics experiment again this spring. And I really want to see how long that. I'm really going to take some sharp notes about.
Yeah, that's interesting you say that, because I did put on the strong microbial fondant patty that has Apis biologics in it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the pollen patties I put on were the Ultra B Plus line. So I think it's got probably their knockoff version on it. And
well, I'm very curious on seeing how long the effect of it lasts, because I swear it lasted until July, August this year, and I did it way back in April. Yeah, just 2 rounds of it, and it wasn't a lot at all. It was like a gallon each round. So I'm like, well, what the heck is going on? Because I've never seen so many bees in my boxes. They were packed. But now you bring up a good question, because I'm wondering what's the difference between it being in syrup and it being in pollen. Is it treated differently within inside the bee? Is it metabolized differently? That's kind of a good question.
It's two different things, right? So obviously they need pollen and they need nectar. Otherwise, they wouldn't harvest one or the other of them, right? If they didn't need it, they wouldn't get it.
Well, one's an energy and one's a protein. So,
so that's the thing.
So are you saying, James, there might be a synergistic effect between one or the other, or both?
I haven't done any studies and I haven't read anything on it, but they do use the nectar and they use the pollen very, very differently. So yes, what it would do together, I haven't put any thought towards that, to be honest with you.
So Dennis asked, does it say on the package what's in the Appy tablet? I know it's got 7 grams of thymol. I know that it has a blend of about 18 different essential oils. I know that it has cornstarch, sugar, and real corn, right? I mean, you can see the bits of corn that fall out of it. And it's all natural. So what does that mean exactly? Don't know. It's the secret sauce, right? It's like KFC's seasoning blend, or or any other product where they have a proprietary blend, right? Where you don't know exactly what's in it because that's what they're selling you, right? They're not going to tell you that information always. But, and unfortunately, I think due to the language barrier with Mehmet, it's, he doesn't relay that information very well. So, which is probably the reason why he wants me to go to 9,100 different shows, right? Every week. Hey, can you go here and then leave there and go to here and do that? I was like, well, I could if I could pay to have hotels and all that for the whole year, right? And stuff. So, but what I do know is that I happened to be the lucky guy that happened to be the first video that was put out there that saw the mite drop that happened when they used it. And so even though, there could have been 50 other people put it out, I just happened to be the guy, the first guy. And so somehow I ended up being that face. And, I sell it too after I saw the results. So that, how much product am I bringing to How much do you want, Ian? I could probably get a tractor trailer for you. Set up there. So I think he said he has the capability of making 11,000 tablets a day.
So, is he actually bringing some up to the show in Winnipeg?
Well, I think what we're going to try to do in talking to Brad was ship some up there. I don't know what that's going to look like because, customs, they like to hold stuff for an indefinite amount of time before they'll ship it, right? So
should ship it to Brad right now just in case they hold it for a couple of weeks.
Well, I've got 8 cases on my patio or on my in my honey house out there. So,
Are you well? How are you going to fly with that?
yeah. See, that's the thing. So getting it there.
And you're going to have to seal it because if they smell that thymol, they're going to like, what is this? You know.
Well, after it's sat for a little while in the box, you can't smell it as much as when you first get it. When you first get it, you can tell. Definitely, this got thymol in it.
Oh yeah.
But Ian, just send me how much you want me to bring, and we'll work it out somehow. Maybe I just rent an RV and drive, throw it in the back, stack it underneath.
Ian's listening.
Breaking Bad.
Yeah, I wonder if he's coming to Calgary for the Canadian Honey Council meetings.
And
that's in what, February, beginning of February?
Well, I know the Manitoba Association meeting is the 23rd and 24th. Yep. I don't know when the other is.
The 8th, 9th, and 10th.
8th, 9th, and 10th. Bring 500. Sell what you can. I'll buy the remainder. So, okay, bring 5,000. And whatever I don't sell, Ian to buy the remainder.
Perfect. I'll see you there, Ian.
So it's gonna be an interesting trip. I've still got to get all over the passport situation. So
dude, you got to do that like right now.
Well, I'm banking on the fact that I've already had a passport, right? I've just got to get it renewed. So they don't have to do all the background stuff they did before.
Yeah. You know how
I wouldn't count on that.
You know how long
I'd get it sent in.
So yeah, I said it to the wife today. We've got to do that like now.
You'd be breaking through that barrier up at the border in your Winnebago, like Bill Murray in that what was that movie called when they broke into Yugoslavia or whatever in that military Winnebago. I can see Bob going right through the border.
Yeah.
That was an old movie. That's when they were in the military. Him and John Candy and
what the heck was the name of that? Anyway, I could see you saying, "I don't need no stinking passport." Just
well, you think Canada and us are, we're like bordering, right?
Stripes. With stripes.
Stripes. Yeah, check and make sure I don't have anything illegal, and let me across the damn border. And so that's definitely going to be a good trip if we can make it happen. But I'm planning for sure to be there. I told Brad he's going to have to drive in the building and let me out on the inside. So I don't know if I can do -28 C.
Yeah, Winnipeg. I was going to say at the end of February, it could be pretty nasty.
And then I'll be sitting here. We're coming already. I'm staying late. I'm gonna stay extra just to come down there and see Carrie. I don't care to see you, but I mean, to see Carrie and what she's doing. But yeah. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be fun, and I might need Dennis to actually come get the tank that he's been telling me he's going to buy for 6 months. 6 months that's sitting in my shed there. But yeah, Brad's already planning to show me around, show me the sights, and see that. So it'll be interesting. I told him I'm surprised he didn't sign me up to speak. I would speak about applying Canadian beekeeping techniques to South Carolina. And, in Canada, they just call those beekeeping techniques, not Canadian beekeeping techniques.
Hey, if they work, run with them, man.
But it's at a crucial time of the year for me, right? So the last week in February, it's like go time. Starting to be go time here, so I could come back and have all my bees in the trees just about. So last year, remember we had to do a split with the double screen bottom board early because they selled right up, right?
Yep.
So
yeah, we still got, well, say 2.5 months up here before we should be thinking about that.
So it's gonna be a fun year. I think we just do what we can, like every year, and try to make the chicken salad out of chicken shit that's given to us, and and go with it. But what do you do? I know James is going to say you make a plan, put it on paper, and
work your plan,
and you crunch the numbers and make it work.
Check and adjust, and check and adjust.
That's it. Game time decisions there.
So
I'm surprised we've got 23 people on at 1 a.m. Eastern time. I think everybody's heading back from the show.
Could be. It's 11 o'clock here, so it probably won't be long before, because like I say, the office is right beside the bedroom with French door, so it won't be long before the wife comes in and shuts. The lights go out, I've got to go to bed. It's bedtime.
Let me see. I have 3 swarm traps overwintering. Coming into spring, would you pinch the queen and let them raise a new one, not knowing their age? Well, that's a very interesting conversation, because that's exactly what we talked about this last year. And I did not opt for that option. I opted for grafting queens so I knew exactly how old they were and then replace that queen. And that way I knew exactly how old they were, because that was a dilemma at the beginning of my year. James said, well, how old are your queens? I'm like, shit, I don't know. It was a nuke I got last year.
Think of it this way. Generally, is the tendency for a new queen of the same year, is it generally their tendency to swarm?
No.
So that queen is at least a year old. Now she's going through her second winter, right? So this is just, once again, this is what I do. But when I was catching swarms, I would requeen that swarm at my earliest opportunity, so I knew what I had in there. Now I would requeen her with one of my own queens.
So last year I only grafted 48 queens, right? That's all I grafted, and I stopped. This year it's going to be much different. If I can graft, there's going to be queens hatching all the time.
Oh, you'll be able to graft.
And so I'll never have that issue. Well, I've got a crappy queen. What am I going to do? Even if you graft it, doesn't mean she's going to be a good queen when you put her in there, right? So that's the thing. I kind of grafted, made a queen. Okay, there you go. Do whatever you're going to do. And that's where I left it. I didn't go back and say, oh, you suck, smash. Here's another one,
I've done that. Now, the one thing, though, too, is I won't consider a queen a viable queen until I know she's laying and I see what her laying pattern is. Now, I know I'm way more selective with my queens than a lot of people, but I think it's paid off. I mean, my queens lay corner to corner. So, and I think I proved that lots of times last year with, in fact, I think, Bob, you were on there one time when I said, well, in the apiary, I said, pick a hive, right? Well, that one right over there, we pulled it out, and literally a full slab sheet of brood. Well, pick another one. We go over there, a full slab sheet of brood. So, so I know I'm a little bit pickier than a lot of people, but I think it pays off in the long run.
Well, I think your bees are OCD, where mine are ADD. Yours are like, hey, we got this much time. Let's do it. Lay it up. Mine is like, yeah, we got time. Just kind of do whatever and make it, So, but that's a climate difference, right? So, and that's one thing Brad says when he's on here. He says it's been very interesting for him to see the challenges that we go through down here, because you're not exposed to that, right? Like the small hive beetle, and hell, Ian took small hive beetles back home with him. Dead ones. I have to preface that they were dead, and as far as I know, customs didn't seize them at the border, and no cavity searches ensued. Are you smuggling hive beetles up there? No, sir. Well, we got to check just in case.
Yeah, those aren't hive beetles.
Those aren't hive. They're dung beetles.
Oh man.
But the it is a different situation, but the bees are the same, right? They're the same. You just have to keep that as the root, which I think I wasn't. I mean, for sure wasn't. And a lot of the stuff, and James has said this to me, is that I'm not telling you anything you don't already know, right? It's not like he's teaching me 100% of how to keep bees, right? It's like there's things that once you do them so many times that you're not as diligent, I don't think, on doing those things, right? You kind of start, we don't need to do that.
Like a smoker.
Yeah. You know? What's that?
You don't need a smoker.
I've got 2 of them. They're sitting on my hives right now. They're nice hood ornaments for my beehives.
I know another guy that's got them, flatten those out and nails them on the wall.
So yeah, mine doesn't get lit very often. That's another
friend thing. Out there.
I
said that's my best friend out there. I don't have cranky bees except sometimes, but a puff or 2 just works really good. It's like a whip with a lion trainer. That's how I think of it.
I'm curious if Bob's bees would be a little bit calmer if you used a smoker.
I think he just needs to.
Sounds like a test there.
Do a little switcheroo on the genetics. I think you need to clean house.
Yeah, but all right.
You got some coming in the spring, right? You have some from California coming in the spring.
Well, whenever that is for him, yep. So
from there.
I've got his stock, right? I've had his stock in the past.
Uh-huh.
I've had Great Burns stock. I've had Cutic stock. I've had my own stock. I've had Oliveira's bees in there. I've had Carniolans and Italians. I've had, and if you go to Mr. Sam's up the street, he'll swear, I could wake him up right now. He'd be like, oh, my bees are gentle. Yeah, they are until you put them in a double deep. When they're in a 5-frame box with 3 frames of bees, yeah, they're not so bad. You get them in a double deep with 20 frames of bees, and all of a sudden they turn into jackasses. Yeah. So, they get the little.
Notice mine don't do that though, eh?
Yeah.
Wait, unless it is harvest season. So I made it through the whole year pretty much without, the odd sting. And I say maybe all year long. Maybe I might have got 3 or 4 stings. But I had one hive, just one hive this year, where we were getting close to the end. And it didn't matter how much smoke I gave them. They were perturbed. Like, they were mad. And, of course, I took a shortcut that day, and I forgot to put my boots on. So I ran out the door, and, of course, I had my running shoes on. Not a big deal. We'll get through this, right? Well, after that first one stung, that bump on your ankle?
Yeah.
After the first one stung there, I didn't feel the other 12 or 14 or 20 or 40 and stuff that it was, but my ankle just swollen right up, and I was like, and it's funny because Alan's in his truck. He says, like, hell no, I'm not doing this. And the other 4-Hers that were helping me, they were all long gone. And it's like, finish this hive, like we're getting this done. And oh yeah, man, they just hammered that ankle. Like, I mean, big time hammered that ankle.
I have a pro tip for guys that use trucker gloves, like the yellow work gloves. Don't lay them down on a lid next to the hive that you've got open.
They're gonna go in it.
Yeah. So this summer I picked them back up and I put one on, and there had to be 3 or 4 of them in there, and all my fingers except for my thumb got it. all at the same time. Man, that hurt like hell. And I was pissed. And that stuff sucks.
Yep.
Son of a
The-
beehive.
Son of a beehive.
I say that all the time.
So-
When my kids were running around, that's how I used to cuss. So I just kind of stuck with me.
228s and the 60.
Wow,
Well-
we did good.
I saw them.
Silver
I
Queen.
saw the post they put on Facebook that, hey, if anybody wants to carry this home, we'll cut you a deal on it. And I just had a feeling that their idea of a deal and my idea of a deal would not be the same. So,
It wouldn't match up.
yeah, they just wouldn't match up. Otherwise, I'd have been like, I can be there.
12
You guys
hours.
probably aren't leaving till tomorrow. I can be there in about 9 hours.
I was talking to one guy down at the expo there today. He was saying that they haven't changed up their wax spinner and stuff very much. So he sent me some pictures and stuff on what they had there the other day, and yeah, it pretty much looks what I got, in the shop there. So that makes me feel good.
Well, James has enough spare parts. When I come up there, maybe I'll just be hauling back some dinosaur cowing.
I was going to say a lifter for Charlie.
Charlie said he committed last night. He said he's going to buy it. He's
Yeah.
going to buy one.
Yeah.
Oh,
He said he's going to buy the B3.
Yeah, but when is he going to buy it?
Oh, that,
When pigs grow wings.
He said when he can get in touch with Boris, he's going to buy one. That's what
Well,
he
I'll
said.
send him Boris's number. I'm going to text him Boris's number. Actually, I think I'm going to do that right now.
Poor Charlie.
For your B3 needs.
Yeah, exactly.
He's probably up dancing right now anyway.
Oh, no, Charlie? I don't know. Maybe. I mean, it's 1:12 in the morning here, so he's probably...
That's still Central Time, right? Louisville is still Central.
No, they're Eastern time.
Oh, okay.
So I checked to see if 9 hours would put me there at 5 or 6, and it would have put me there at 6. So the extraction trailer, they sold that as well. Wow. I'm glad to see some beekeepers got a ton of money sitting out there.
That was very profitable for them. That's good.
Oh, okay. Hope. And now I got a desk. I'll be able to set it right here. I thought about going down and picking up packages and making a run up the East Coast for people that wanted packages early.
There you go. Charlie has Boris's number.
You sent it to him? He's probably like, who's texting me this time of the morning? He's throwing popcorn. I can just imagine Charlie laying in his bed with popcorn all over his shirt. Looking at his phone. Oh, okay.
I think his wife would be giving him hell for that one.
Came in, said he had a few 20K and one 30K beekeeper there. Wow. That's, well, maybe the word will start getting around about the show. I definitely was FOMOing. I was like, man, I'm only 9 hours. But I would have literally,
if I could drive there. Well,
But
I shouldn't say
9 hours is a jog
pretty much
around the
could drive
block.
there, but
9 hours.
9 hours is a jog around the block for James.
I know, right?
That's nothing.
He can't even go grab milk in less than 18 hours. We're driving to Manitoba to pick up some fresh milk today.
yeah.
Should be home in about 36 hours. Let's see.
No, I don't see why Mike can't join us. Who is
Yeah,
Mike
click
Travis?
the link, man.
I don't know if I've met Mike.
I haven't met Mike. I don't think.
Hit the link and jump in.
Just make sure that you have either your YouTube
Have all sound off.
off or otherwise you'll get that crazy echo thing going on, which is hard to explain when you're in the middle of the stream.
Mm-hmm.
But for sure, if you want to come in,
It's not hard to explain. Well, we can explain it here quite easily,
So-
I think.
So James,
which is hard to explain when you're in the middle of the stream.
Yeah, there you go. And that now you get the loop.
It's not hard.
so
It just goes on and on.
so James, the people or persons that broke in the other night, did they
Yep.
happen to experience some lightheadedness and maybe fall down a little and had to crawl out the door?
Were you able to follow the defecation trail when they found out what was in those boxes?
I think
Well,
James knows what I'm talking
They
about.
absolutely, definitely did not get out of there scot-free.
Well, but you know what I'm talking about, though, right?
Oh, I do know what you're talking
Okay.
about. And all I can say is there's a surprise for them.
Oh, really?
So,
Well, I hope they claim it. Let's just say that.
well, like I said, they, the amount of bees that I had on the floor and that were out the door, there's no way they got out of there unscathed. Because their truck was parked right there. I mean, you know how you can go up to the apiary and the bees are flying around the apiary and you still end up getting one or two in the truck. Well, there's with what they had there, they had way more than one or two in the vehicle. So,
But was it as good as the 7-Eleven Slurpee incident?
oh, that was poetic justice. You know, it. I don't know. It sounds. I don't know. Maybe it might sound like I live in a rough town, but I really don't. So I'll just back up to the guys that broke in because talking with the RCMP and stuff up here. There's a few drug-related break-in enters where these guys, they break in and anything that they can grab or pawn or anything like that, that's what they do. Yeah. So I've had lots of comments because I put it on, there's a local area up here for reporting that kind of stuff on Facebook, and I put it on there so that everybody can kind of see. So we're pretty sure we know exactly where the individuals and stuff like that live now. So I passed that off to the authorities and we'll let them deal with it. But
you said they stole cameras. Did you get footage?
Yeah, I've given all that to them as well. So interesting enough, they stole the cameras. So the cameras are registered. So I had spent Tuesday driving around to see if I could figure out where those cameras were, because if I could get close enough, the cameras would link up to my phone and stuff. But I didn't manage to find them. And then yesterday, both of the cameras went offline. So they reset them yesterday, but they won't be able to use them. So I did talk to the security company today. And if anybody was to try and set them back up, of course, you've got to give a name and address and a credit card number and stuff like that. So if they do, then they'll forward that off to the authorities too. So at least that'll be done. But so they can't use the cameras. It's just the damage that they've done. I mean, there's the one thing, the loss of the bees, so that's one thing, but just the damage to the building. So I rent that area, and it's it's an old farmyard. Now the house is still livable, right? Just nobody lives out there. And in fact, they keep.
So I need to migrate to that house.
What's that?
I need to migrate to that house.
Well, they keep the heat on in that house year round. So I mean, you can go out there right now. The beds are made. You could move in right now, throw your food in the fridge, and you'd be good to go, right?
He would never leave the house in the wintertime, though.
What's that?
He would never leave the house in the wintertime, though. He wouldn't even go out the front door.
Bob?
Well, there's something. See, here I can walk outside and take a piss in my backyard and not worry about it. If I went out there, it'd have to be pissing ice cubes.
So, well, he'd have to go outside sooner or later because he'd run out of food, and he'd have to go out and shovel shovel the sidewalk, or at least get it away from the door so he could.
You only need to shovel the sidewalk as if you're going to walk on it, and I wouldn't plan on
it.
So I do have insurance, of course. Now comes the $1 million question, right? So do I file an insurance claim and have my premiums and stuff like that go up, or do I just fix it and carry on? So at this point, I've chosen to fix it and carry on. Now I have a police report. I got a file number. I've got all of that. All of that is done. But the thing is these guys, it's not like these guys aren't smart criminals. I don't think there is such a thing as a smart criminal, right? These are desperate individuals that are looking for their next fix.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
you know, and yeah, so
Telling you, I would hook up a little tiny bear fence across the door. So anybody that came, but it's got to be down around like, you know, the shins, so they can't see it when they walk in, and they basically would trip over it, right? So when they hit it and get zapped with about 10,000 volts or something, they would know they were in the wrong spot.
yeah, but then they'd come back and I'd be the one that would get charged, right? So, you know, but yeah. So anyways, chalk it all up. So one of the things that we have done is the camera feed now goes to multiple people, you know, and normally I would have been up and out there a little bit quicker, except that day I wasn't feeling well and I silenced my phone. So I didn't see the alerts until, you know, I kind of got up and I took a look. And then now you're also got to remember it was 5:21 a.m. when I got the first notification. I saw it at like, 5:40, 5:41, say 20 minutes later. And it's about a 25 minute drive out there. And by the time I got there, shortly after 6, they were already gone. You know, so.
I thought it's because you had to get your gun out of one room and then go to another room and get the ammo. And then go to another room and load it. And then call the government and get permission to take the gun out of the house.
No, this is probably, I'm a little bit redneck. This is probably one house you never want to break into.
Hey, Lindsay, good to see you. So, you know, it's interesting because we had that discussion today too. I said if it was here, they would have been pulling lead out of somebody's behind, you know. But assuming like if that building was on my property and someone was breaking into it, it would have been a bad day for somebody, you know. But probably me, because I'd have been the one getting arrested probably. Well, you killed him. You had 5 minutes from the time you loaded your gun. You saw him. You got out there and shot him and killed him on your property. You know, then you get that whole thing. So, I mean, I guess you could spin it any way you want to. Unfortunately, sometimes the government sides on the wrong side of the law there. Well, he was on my property stealing my stuff, and he got what he deserved, right?
Yeah, well, like I say, it's unfortunate because I was doing some special things with all of those bees in there this year, so I've got to go through and find out which hives were got into, because I'll have to take them out of the tests and a few things like that now. So it's just unfortunate, a little bit added work. Now, am I concerned about, you know, grafting another, I don't know what, 30, whatever the heck it ends up to be there? No, I could do that.
Call the coroner.
Yeah. Yep. Well, we go by the 3S property up here. You know, shoot, shovel, and shut up.
Yep. Well, when I was a police officer, and this might be an inside thing that people don't want to hear, but our motto was it's better to be tried by 12 than carried by 6, right? So it's a true statement. Yeah, I tell you what, I missed that I didn't get to go. I had tickets up until 3 weeks before the show, and you know, unfortunately, with my mom passing away, the evening that I canceled my tickets, I just didn't know how long all of the stuff I was going to have to take care of, and then the time that I had to take off from work. It just didn't feel right to me to take off from work for that and then have the holidays and then say, oh, by the way, next week I'm on vacation, right? for another whole week. So it just didn't work. So I see.
Well, and it is expensive too. I mean, by the time not only do you not have any income coming in, but fuel, hotels, meals, it adds up.
Yeah.
I was on the road for a week where, we were burning gas from basically the minute we got up to the minute we went to sleep, right? So,
and then you're like, oh, beef jerky,
exactly.
or something.
Hey, so Mike couldn't get in?
I saw him pop up and it says device was not connected, like his camera and thing, and then just he went back out again. So, there was some inspiration. The No Life Beekeepers united at the show and took a photo there. All the guys that hang out in the chat that were there took a photo,
perfect.
And then they made
rest of us were here.
Then they made a Facebook group.
Well, what's Ian Kamen and I were talking about you every day. We had dinner with
Etienne.
Yeah. There you go. Well, I mean, it would have been great if we could all get there. Maybe next year, right?
Yeah, we'll try again next year. That's
what I said last year.
Yeah, I mean, I had full intentions on going, but everyone kept saying, "Where you staying? Where you staying? Where you staying?" And I didn't book my room specifically because the whole uncertainty of my situation here. So that was that's just how it was.
I can't remember what my excuse was last year.
Well, what's it going to be next year?
But this year, so at work we have 43 programs and we're grant based. So 9 of the programs, their grants came up or were coming up. So it was paperwork out the wazoo and RFPs this and RFP that. It was just it's too much. So there was no way I could get away.
Well, I still had holidays, but I spent a ton of money, 2 weeks there before Christmas. So
yeah, you know what? I at the beginning, the part that was toughest for me was getting a ticket to get there, to fly, round trip, and then stay there 3-4 nights. It was starting to add up, and then I wouldn't mind buying something, this or that I could shove in a box and make it a carry-on. But
don't plan on that.
Yeah, no. I think if I did go, I think I would have to wheel it all over to like the UPS store that's down the street and then ship it back to me.
Yeah, that's what I did.
Well,
I arranged for shipping and stuff like that, basically pallets.
Yeah.
Right?
But yeah, I had it budgeted, but just we had so much stuff going on at work. I couldn't peel away, unfortunately.
I hope they don't move it to Oklahoma City because that would be a no for me then. Oklahoma City, I mean, I would spend my whole vacation getting there.
Oh.
Why?
Unless I flew. Do what? What'd you say?
Jump on a plane.
Well, then I can't load my truck down and drive it back.
Go to the UPS store.
I was going to say, nobody can say they can't drive there. Listen,
No, you can definitely drive there.
Anybody that says you can't drive there, I will prove them wrong just because.
Hey,
Well, you
just
can't drive to Hawaii.
drive straight down the coast, James. Pick me up and turn left, and we'll be there.
There you go. Actually, I do want to make that trip one of these days. So, I would like to zip down and see Jose and Kelly and family, and like I said, I've made some really good friends off of YouTube here. So,
Including this guy. Well, oh, he did say good friends. Sorry.
I think I've been to your place twice, once or twice now.
I know you came once.
You got stung both times, didn't you?
He got stung twice on the nose, right when he first got out of his vehicle.
Yeah, it was like literally just one right here, and then I took it off, and there was like, I think I caught him just before he got right back there. It was just like that ball liquor, and then we're sitting down having a drink, and another one got me right there.
Oh,
It was like, okay, much more of this, and I'm gonna go find, and Bob's gonna have to do some grafting.
Well, maybe this year I get some of those Mark Miller gentle bees this year. I don't know. Everybody says gentle, and I don't know. It might just be the struggle here, right?
Yep.
With,
I'm extremely excited to see how those bees Brad do over there throughout the winter. And so all of his were brand new queens there. So
well, and yes, Lindsay, I plan on making it at least once. Hopefully more than that.
I actually did go back and do that removal, by the way. Me and Chris, the bug man, went up there and got them.
Oh, perfect.
There was a really old set of comb on one end of that porch.
On the south side?
I don't know. I guess it was the south side. Yeah. So they were on one side of that overhang.
Yeah.
That was the new side, but there was comb on the old comb on the other side.
Yeah, they were flying in and out of the north side, and the old comb was on the south side there.
So
that was a neat place. That was a really neat place.
It's and he told me I could put bees out there, but I like when I had bees down at the Chestnut Grove down there, I really liked the fact that I could just go there anytime and just stop and do. With it being, that he's got that gate on the front, you have to put the code in, and then it's like, well, then I feel like I'm kind of trespassing on their property, and is it okay if I come at this time, or,
Yeah.
Because who knows, if I lived in a place like that with that much acres around me, I'd probably be walking around buck naked and some galoshes out in the yard or something,
Oh my eyes!
Nobody needs to see that.
Right, but
animals and squirrels and deer are fleeing from the property in every direction.
I'm gonna try to add Mike in here. Oh, it won't let me. It says they need to connect their mic or cam before they can be added to the stream.
Good night, Lindsay.
Have a good night, Lindsay. Say hi to Cayman for me tomorrow when you see him.
And so there's I think this year I'm going to be optimistic, try to be optimistic, and say that it's going to be a good year. After talking to James this morning, and he's giving me the rainbows and unicorns speech. Look at what you do have.
Well, we're all our hardest critic, right? And myself as well. I'm always thinking I should be doing way more and way better. And then when I go back and I look at my notes at the end of the year to see what I wanted to do at the beginning of the year, it's like, oh, well, that ain't so bad, right? So I mean, we all kind of need to do that check and adjust. And
I just think it's amazing how you can make as many splits as you make there and grow as many colonies as you can. And if I do that and put them in a nuke box, they may or may not do anything. I mean, it's just kind of like they're just like, we're having a siesta. Don't mess with us.
Yeah, but strong splits. We've discussed that one, right? I can make a weak split up here to do the exact same thing. They gotta be strong splits. I'll make a strong split, and then I'll be able to go back, and because it's a strong split, I'll be able to split those two into four, those four into 8, and just by the law of numbers, I will far outdo you by making 110 frame into 5 small weak splits. I will outdo you every single time by making strong splits.
And yeah, that was another lesson I learned this year, right? Is taking away that ramp up time by making them strong right out of the get-go. I mean, even I mean, the colony didn't end up making it, but my starter finisher, it was in a licensed polyhive, and that thing just exploded and drawn comb like mad, and they didn't have any issues until I took them out of the licensed hive and put them in a regular colony. Then all of a sudden, that's when things got a little bit interesting for them. But yeah, they did. I mean, they did well. Did pretty well.
Absolutely. Oh, I'm getting the look.
The look. It's late.
11:35 here, so
you're getting the. That's it.
Yeah, well, not quite yet, but
when she comes in the unicorn suit, it'll be time to go.
I got her unicorn suit here.
Mike says he's going to try another time.
All right. Well, hey, we're glad you tried to come in.
Yeah.
It's, I don't know. Sometimes it does it if the signal's not strong enough or something like that. Sometimes that could be an issue. But yeah, so we've been going for the unicorn hands,
the unicorn gloves, single brood chamber management. We all need some of these next time Charlie's on there.
Yeah, that would be funny.
Right now he's looking. He's like, first you woke me up by texting me at 1 o'clock in the morning. now you're making fun of the gloves.
Well, you got to be very specific about what you're talking about.
Haven't you learned anything?
Yeah. Haven't you learned anything? There's a slump in your honey production line. You need to go ahead and straighten that out.
Oh, geez.
So, anyway, guys, hey, it's been an hour and 28 minutes roughly, and it's 1:30 in the 1:37 here. So
yeah, 11:37 where I am. What's it where you are, Todd?
And all that stuff, yeah.
I'm an hour. I'm an hour behind you, and 3 hours 3 hours behind Bob.
So it's still early for these guys.
Yeah.
My old man nap ran over.
I didn't get an old man nap today.
You're going to be awake all night. And then you down through those energy drinks.
Yeah, I'm immune to those things now. I'll go right to sleep. No problems. I mean, I think there's a study somewhere that says if you got like ADD, that caffeine actually works the opposite, right? Caffeine, and I've never been diagnosed with ADD. However, if that's a correlation, then maybe I am like on the spectrum somewhere. So,
oh, you're definitely somewhere on that spectrum, buddy. we just got to figure out whether it's this side or this side.
But anyway, guys,
gonna let that one slip.
We're gonna go ahead and call it for this evening. We appreciate all of you no-lifers. Hey, and if you're on Facebook, I think I still got the link here. I'm gonna drop it. Yeah, I do. Okay, so this is a group that was started up today. It's a No Life Beekeepers Facebook group. Come on and join it, and we'll see what happens over there. People posting stuff, photos, whatever, and might make some announcements and stuff on there. Don't know. We'll see. It's brand new. I didn't even make it.
Oh,
it's like a proud papa. No Life Beekeepers are uniting all over the planet now, and so it's pretty fun. But anyway, guys, we'll see you next time. Tim and Hannah are tomorrow night, and I guess we're Tuesday night on Lee's channel this week.
There we go.
And,
all right. Good night, everyone.
We'll talk to you guys later. Good night.
Happy Saturday and happy Sunday.